Hello, everybody. I'm Matt Harrington, host of Eye on ClinOps, about clinical operations in the pharmaceutical and medical device industries. With us today is Angela Steele, former VP of Clinical Operations at GlaxoSmithKline and current CEO of Fundamentals Coaching, a corporate training organization focused on StrengthsFinder education. Welcome, Angela.
Hi, Matt. Nice to see you. Thanks so much for having me.
Sure. So my first question is, can you give me an example of when collaboration either worked or didn't work in clinical operations?
Yeah, so I've seen great team collaboration within GSK, within clinical study teams. But what I want to kind of focus on is the collaboration we had with a CRO in infectious diseases. And I think that worked really well. And I think one of the reasons it worked really well was that our senior leader sponsor was incredibly committed to one team philosophy. So he was committed to working with the CRO, which, it sounds so simple, but actually that is such a critical, because often people feel like when all else fails, we'll go get a CRO, whereas this was a real strategy that our senior leader was very committed to. And he also had this idea of it being one team. So not avoiding duplication, avoiding the kinds of tripping over ourselves, and being really clear about who's good at what. And really, we had an individual actually come and sit with us within GSK from the CRO, one of the physicians. So there was really an integration of the team, which is hard to do when often we are like in this master-servant kind of relationship. I do exactly what you tell me, where we wanted the CRO to be an active, collaborative partner at the table, not just doing what we told them to, but suggesting what they thought might be the best approach. I think the other thing is that, clinical study teams are really the heart of R&D, the heartbeat. And, I think the teams are often in really excruciating pressure and expectations of delivering it yesterday. There's really an enormous amount of pressure to deliver. And you often hear that term flawless execution, which to me is absurd, but that's what you hear, and that's the expectation. Yeah. And, teams are often, there's a lot of pressure on them fixing what they're doing and when, right. And they don't always have the time to focus on how they work together. And, when you're focused on the what and the when, it's fine until something goes wrong. And typically when things go wrong, it's more team dynamics, expectations are off, and the ways of working are really are at fault rather than the plan or the timelines. And that's when we can start blaming them and not getting things done. But that commitment to the relationship and the partnership is so critical.
Okay, great. Thank you. So my second question is, what would you recommend viewers do to collaborate better in clinical operations or any area of their professional lives?
Well, I think this is true for all teams, not just clinical study teams, but I would highly recommend teams prioritize the how discussion upfront and early on, and put it at the top of their agenda rather than watching it slide off the agenda. I mean, I've talked to a lot of team leaders who have amazing plans for their 3-day study team kickoff, and they've got strengths or some trust building as day one. And then, oh no, we have to do this plan, or we have to hear from this senior leader. And that slowly it ends up sliding to day 2 or 3 or off the agenda completely. And they say, we'll do it another time. Well, that another time never, ever comes. So prioritizing, upfront when you're in that kickoff, because guess what? That freight train of getting the study up and running and delivered is going to overwhelm any of the time that you have to focus on it later. And you only focus on it later when there's an emergency, right? When things have gone pear-shaped, and you've got a rescue situation because the team dynamics are so poor. So what I've done, I've led Strengths Finder workshops with CRO partners as part of that kickoff. We've prioritized talking about strengths, and that's such a positive place to start. Mm-hmm. It's uplifting to see the strengths of yourselves plus the CRO or whoever you're partnering with. So it's a very positive place to start. And then it gives you amazing insight on how people work and what to expect. And the example I always give is if you have someone who is an achiever and an activator, wants something done Monday, and then you have a more thoughtful, intellectual type of person who's really helpful because they can help you get to a better, more thoughtful product. They want to deliver it on Friday. And if you know that, then maybe you can compromise and get something more thoughtful on Wednesday. So work the Wednesday. That's the kind of insight that you can get when you look at the strengths of the team. Mm-hmm. And in my new company, Fundamentals, we're really keen to help support teams explore the how and provide the insights that will truly help them build trust and truly impact the ways of working of the team, which will ultimately lead to that flawless execution, which is the holy grail for clinical study teams and teams everywhere.
Great, great. Thanks so much, Angela. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a great day, Matt. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.